Okay, so tax implications of company-owned policies, this is further. So section 11W2, please do not misquote the sections. I'll tell you the three very important sections. Well, actually there's about 5 important sections that you need to know. But 11W1 is the first, 11W2 is the second. So under section 11W2, again of the Income Tax Act, in terms of key person insurance policies, it applies where the premium is not included in gross income of employee and the following requirements have been met. So firstly, the company or employer is insured against a loss by reason of death, disablement, or severe illness of a key employee. The second is the policy is a pure risk policy with no cash or surrender value. So the policy must not have an investment component or a surrender value. So should you decide to cancel the policy as opposed to it being paid out when the person dies, it shouldn't have a portion that gets paid out. That's what it means when it says it's a pure risk policy. It's paying under those 3 specific events. Then the policy is not owned by any other than the company at the time of the payment of the premium. So how to know it's a company-owned policy is that the company pays the premiums. So it will be stated in the facts that the company owns it, but how you can further know is that the company will pay the premiums. Then, in respect of the policy entered into, it's a 2-parter. On or after 1 March 2012, if the policy agreement states that section 11W2 applies, or if the policy was entered into before 1 March 2012, it must be stated in an addendum to the policy agreement by no later than 31 August 2012 that this paragraph applies in respect of the premiums. So in terms of that last 2 pointers, if the policy was effected before 1 March 2012, that company must include in the policy document an addendum that says that section 11W2 applies, and that addendum must not be added on 1 September, it must be added before 31 August 2012. Reason being, this was promulgated in 1 March 2012. So it's once to ensure that we are catering for policies before and policies after. So these are the requirements. All requirements must be met before the premium is deductible. So in an assessment or tutorial, when you are testing the requirements, if one requirement is not met, what does it mean? It's not tax deductible, correct? If all requirements are met under section 11W2, the premiums are tax deductible. Keyword, talking about the premiums here. So then at the bottom, the general rule is if premiums are not tax deductible, then the proceeds are exempt under section 10(1)(g) capital H. Again, what I said in the beginning, SARS needs to tax you somehow. So if it's saying premiums are not tax deductible, that means that the premiums are taxed. And because the premiums are taxed, the proceeds will be exempt under that section. So far 3 important sections, 11W1, 11W2, and 10(1)(g) capital H. Very important. Yes?
It says that it's a policy, right? A risk policy of the employees, right? But the first requirement says that, second requirement says that the policy is a risk policy with no cash or surrender value. I don't understand that part if it's a policy, but it doesn't have any value.
It says no cash or surrender value. It's not saying it doesn't have value. It's pure risk. So what pure risk in that sense is, and it's because you came in a bit late, I did say this in this class. Pure risk policy where there's no cash or surrender value means that if this policy is cancelled before the person dies and there's a payout, it must not have a portion that gets paid to the company. That's what it means. So it mustn't have a surrender value. So if the company surrenders the policy, so they cancel it, there mustn't be a portion that's payable to them. It must be pure risk. So only paid upon those 3 events: death, disablement, or severe illness. It's a lot of theory, but like I said, when you go home and you go through it again, some of it will make more sense. Okay, so the tax implication of company-owned policies. Policies whereby proceeds are used to repay capital does not represent expenditure incurred in the production of income, therefore the premiums are not tax deductible. So what does the expenditure incurred in production of income represent? What does this remind you of? Something you learned in tax planning and first semester. Okay, not first semester, sorry, in tax planning. No, guys, please try. Expenditure incurred in production of income. It's a requirement of something. What is it? Something in income tax, yes? Yes, it is. So, what it's saying here is that if it does not meet the requirements of general deduction formula, then the premiums are not taxable. That's what, are not tax deductible. That's what it means. So let's go through an example. On 1 April, Company A, Pty Ltd, took out a pure risk policy on the life of Director Peter for 1 million rand. Peter had provided security in his personal capacity in respect of a loan taken by a company from a bank. The purpose of the policy is to pay back the loan on Peter's death. So the purpose of the policy is to pay back a loan on Peter's death. The company pays 500 Rand per month in premiums and is the owner of the policy. It is a pure risk policy with no cash or surrender value. The agreement states that Section 11W2 will apply, is to apply. So in terms of the requirements, does it meet all the requirements or not? Does it meet all the requirements? Should we go back to the requirements? Okay, let's read it again and then go back to the requirements. On 1 April, Company A Pty Ltd took out a pure risk policy on the life of the director Peter for 1 million rand. Peter had provided security in his personal capacity in respect of a loan taken by the company from a bank. Purpose of the policy is to pay back the loan on Peter's death. The company pays 500 Rand per month in premiums and is the owner of the policy. It is a pure risk policy with no cash or surrender value, and the agreement states that Section 11W2 is to apply. So in this instance, we'll go back to the top. It says, policies whereby proceeds are used to repay capital does not represent expenditure incurred in the production of income. Therefore, the premiums are not tax deductible. So because of that statement, this is why this requirements are not met. Because of that extra statement on the top of this slide. In terms of the other requirements in the previous slide, it did meet all of them, but because it was the proceeds were used to repay capital, they were used to repay a certain amount, it was not for, it does not meet the requirements of Section 11W2. But if we test it against the requirements, we are saying company or employer is insured against a loss. So that's the requirement that's not necessarily being met, but for the sake of your studies, just remember that line on top of the slide. That's what's going to help you. But we'll do more examples, don't worry. Okay, so tax implications of company-owned policies. Paragraph M of the Income Tax Act as of 1 March includes in gross income the following. Any amount received or accrued in respect of a policy of insurance of which the tax... Sorry, can I please ask someone to close the door? Any amount received or accrued in respect of a policy of insurance of which taxpayer is policyholder, where policy relates to the death, disablement, or severe illness of the employer or employee. So this is when we're going to include in gross income. Thank you. So we're going to do a quick example to reinforce this. Famous Foods Pty Ltd took out a pure risk policy with no cash or surrender value on the life of an employee, Jade. The company owns the policy, and it was taken out on 1 June 2011 to insure the company against losses incurred on Jade's death. The premium was not deductible before 1 March 2012, and it has not been stated in the addendum to the policy before 31 March 2012. that section 11W2 is to apply. The premiums are therefore not tax deductible. Jade dies on 1 June 2013 and 400,000 Rand is paid to Famous Foods. So in this instance, we're looking at the implication on gross income. Quick one, are we looking at the implications on gross income on the company, Famous Foods, or Jade? That orange line that's highlighted on top is the key to my question. I'll repeat. Are we looking at gross income in respect of Famous Foods or gross income in respect of Jade? Famous Foods. It's the company, so we're looking at whether it meets the requirements for the company in terms of gross income. But there's a key factor that this example states. What does it tell us? What does it tell us about the premiums? The premiums are tax deductible. So in terms of the proceeds, in terms of this paragraph M, it says that it's going to include it as gross income. But now we want to test whether it will be exempt or it will be taxable. But like I said, SARS wants to tax you one way or the other. So if premiums are being tax deducted, what does it mean with the proceeds? I'll repeat. If premiums are tax deducted, what does it mean with the proceeds? They're not tax deductible, in other words?
They will not be taxed.
So, in other words, is another one? It's exempt. Do we all agree with that? Okay, so just remember, it's taxed either on the premiums or the proceeds. All right, so tax implications of company-owned policies. Paragraph D includes certain amounts in respect of proceeds of policies received or accrued to an employee or a dependent or nominee of the employee. For this slide, you could just also read through it. So tax implications of key person insurance policies, not key man, it's key person insurance policies. So is the premium deductible or not? We're going to decipher which one is best. So premium is deductible and proceeds are taxable. So in this case, the amount required is 1 million and the premium is 1,000 Rand per month. The company tax rate as at 1 March 2023 is 27%. So the cover required is 1 million divided by that company tax rate, because we're saying that that cover is going to be included in gross income and it's going to be taxable, as per that line that says premium deductible, proceeds taxable. So when we are saying the proceeds are taxable, they're taxable in the hands of the company at the company tax rate. Because they are taxable, we need to ensure that we are taking cover that pays for those costs. Do you all understand that? You will remember in estate duty, there are instances where you may recommend an additional policy payable to the estate. There are two costs you needed to bear in mind. Which one? It's executors' fees and estate duty. Do you all remember how we applied those percentages on the cover amount so that when the cover pays out, the taxes are paid and the full amount required gets into the estate? Do you all remember that? That principle you did in terms of estate duty, we're applying on company-owned policies as well. So we are saying if the cover required is taxable, we need to put the company tax rate on that amount. How we do that is we say 1 million times 100 divided by 73. That gives us 1,369,863. So in terms of the cover required, the company will take its tax, which will be the 300 and something thousand, and then the 1 million will go straight to the company to ensure or protect them against the loss that they suffered. In terms of the premium, we said the premium is deductible. So 1,000 Rand times 100 divided by 73, that's equal to 1,370. The tax benefit is that we're just looking at the net cost after all the taxes are paid. Then in an instance where the premium is not deductible and the proceeds are tax-free, the amount required is 1 million and the premium is 1,000. So same scenario. The cover required will be 1 million, the premium is 1,000 Rand. Why is it this way? Because the premiums are not deductible and the proceeds are tax-free. So it's going to sound a bit confusing, but like I said, when you sit with it, it will make more sense. And if you listen. So now in terms of estate duty implications. So now we're referring to the Estate Duty Act. So we are going to include as deemed property of the deceased as per this section, very important section, but it will be exempt if it meets the following requirements. The following requirements under paragraph 3, that section 33A2 of the Estate Duty Act is another important section, so please write it down. Remember, when I'm saying these sections are important, it's because you're going to be expected to quote them when you provide your reasons or justification. Okay, so it will be exempt if it meets the following requirements. The policy is not effected by or at the instance of the deceased. So deceased does not own the policy. That's what that line means. No premium is paid by the deceased. Third, no amount due has been or will be paid into the estate of the deceased. So remember, with key person insurance policies, who are they paying to? The company, right? No amount has been or will be paid or utilized for the benefit of any relative of the deceased or any person dependent for maintenance on the deceased or any company that at which any time was regarded as a family company. So if the requirements are not met, only deduction available to the company or employer is premiums paid plus 6% compounded interest. The balance will thereafter be dutiable. We'll go through an example to make this make more sense. So how to know if it's a family company is to, in essence, say who has controlling interest of the company. So if I own 51% of ABC Pty Ltd and Mr. Ashley owns 49% of the company, who has controlling interest? Me. Because I have controlling interest, that company is seen as a family company. I'll give another scenario. Let's say it's me, one of my sisters, and Mr. Ashley. We own a company. I own 30%, my sister owns 25%, and Mr. Ashley owns 45%. How much do me and my sister own of that company? 55%. Do you agree that we have controlling interest as a family?
Yes.
And as such, it will be regarded as a family company. So if we go back to the requirements, it says, the policy will be exempt from estate duty if it meets the requirements of that section of the Estate Duty Act. And if we look at the last point, it says that the amount must not be paid to a family company. So again, if we go back to our example, where it's me, my sister, and Mr. Ashley, and we have that company, and we've taken up the policy, in respect of estate duty, what are we saying if it gets payable to the company? Will it be included in estate duty, or will it be exempt? Is it subject to estate duty, or will it be exempt? Just read those points. So again, me, my sister, and Mr. Ashley, my sister and myself, we own 55%, he owns 45%. We have this company-owned policy, and it's payable to the company. But now I'm saying, in terms of estate duty, is it exempt from estate duty, or will estate duty be applicable? I want people from this side to answer. I can hear you guys, but I want this side. So in essence, we have a family company. The policy is being paid to a family company. In terms of these requirements, what are we saying? The requirements say the policy will be exempt from estate duty if it meets the requirements under that section. But the last point, point 4, says no amount has been or paid or has been or will be paid or utilized for the benefit of any relative of the deceased or any person dependent for maintenance on the deceased or any company which at the time was a family company. In essence, that requirement is not being met. So because the requirement is not being met, it means that it won't be exempt. So it will be subject to estate duty. So I understand it's a lot of theory now, and maybe you're taking it a bit slow, which is normal. But when you sit with it and when we do a few examples, it will reinforce what you are learning today. Yes.
I have two questions. Firstly, how long is this test going to be? Do you want pages? Do you want us to outside pages? Or
I'll explain how you will be required in terms of marks.
Second question: if we had all of this, right? Because some of our brains do not brain this way. Would you mind if you actually use our own words to how we understand the statements when answering, or would that reduce our marks?
It's a very good question. With that one, what I'll say is, in your TAT, the tutors will specify how I want the answers done. Because remember, when we are quoting legislation, if you misquote it or you rearrange the words completely and you change the meaning, then it's not going to make sense. So, as much as many of you will use your own words, and when we mark in terms of assessment, we knowing that you did not have an open book or anything like that, so we're not as strict when it's assessments. But assignments like your case study, you misquoting slides, then you will be penalized. So I'm not that strict, and just so you know, history shows that students do better in test 2 with this content. So please do not be overwhelmed. As I said, there's some points that I'm emphasizing, but as we go through an example, you'll see what's required. There's a student falling asleep. Are you okay? I don't want to look at you. I don't want to make you uncomfortable. Whoever you are, you know who you are. Please wake up. Okay. All right, so very important slide. In terms of key personal insurance calculations, remember we want to know when are we sorry, yes? This one. Oh, okay. So the requirement in terms of it for it to be exempt from estate duty is that the policy must not be paid to a family company. A family company is where one or more relatives own controlling interest of the company. In my example, I said me, my sister, and Mr. Ashley. Myself and my sister, we have controlling interests, so we own 55%. So this policy was taken in respect of our company, but because we have controlling interest, it's regarded as a family company. So it won't be exempt. It will be subject to estate duty. So that's what it means. Are you covered? Okay, thank you. I know probably other people needed that. Okay, so in terms of key personal insurance calculations, when we are saying income tax is payable, so we're saying yes to income tax, but we're saying no to estate duty, what we'll do is we'll take that cover amount and we'll divide it by 0.73. It just says 2022/3 because of the change in company tax rate. That's why it says that. Then on the second pillar, if there's no income tax payable on the proceeds, we're talking about the proceeds here. No income tax is payable on the proceeds, but it is subject to estate duty, then we'll divide the amount by 0.8. So we're removing that estate duty, we're catering for estate duty. Lastly, if we find that the policy has income tax implications, the proceeds, and it has estate duty implications, we divide the cover amount by 0.584. That's putting company tax rate and estate duty together. Do you understand this slide? Okay, all companies we're going to deal with are using the latest tax, which will be 27%. So that bottom line is just for you to know that it was previously 28 and now it's 27%. So Jack and Jill Pty Ltd took out a life policy on the life of one of its directors to insure against the loss of income to the company as a result of the director's untimely death. The policy meets the requirements of Section 11W2 and meets the requirements of Section 33A2 of the Estate Duty Act. The estimated loss incurred as a result of death is 1 million. So in terms of this section, we're not tackling the requirements of 11W2 and Section 3 of the Estate Duty Act. We're looking at the cover required. So the cover required is 1 million after tax. So if we're looking at the income tax payable, we are saying, is the income tax payable? Yes, because the premiums are tax deductible under Section 11W2. So there is income tax implications because the premiums were deductible. When we are saying premiums are deductible, in other words, we are saying the premiums are, if we're deducting them, in terms of tax, what are we doing? We're removing them from having tax implications. That's what it means. So I want you to remember that knock-on effect of if the premiums are not taxed, the proceeds will be taxed. If the premiums are taxed, the proceeds will be exempt. Okay, so the amount required was 1 million. Income tax payable, yes, because the premiums are tax deductible. In terms of estate duty, there are no estate duty implications because it met the requirements. So in terms of the cover required, we're only applying income tax, which is according to this first bubble or first pillar, and we take 1 million divided by 0.73. That gives us 1,369,863 rand. In terms of a question like this, you will have two parts. You'll have the theory part in which you need to test whether the requirements were met, and if not, then you do the cover amount required. So because it does carry on from a previous part, it is marks that you can easily lose out on. So please just pay attention to that theory. Okay, another example. We have Jack and Jill Pty Ltd, who took out a life policy on the life of one of its directors to insure against the loss of income resulting from the director's untimely death. The policy meets the requirements of Section 11W2, but does not meet the requirements of Section 33A2 of the Estate Duty Act. The estimated loss incurred as a result of death is 1 million rand. Yeah, it's 1 million rand. So in terms of income tax payable, we are saying yes, there are income tax payable requirements because the premiums are deductible under Section 11W2. Therefore, the proceeds are taxable. In terms of estate duty payable, we are saying yes, because the requirements were not met. So those 4 requirements under the estate duty section that I said is important. Because we now have tax implications on the proceeds and tax implications on income tax implications on the proceeds and estate duty implications, we'll divide our cover required 1 million by 0.584, which is done there. And then that gives us 1,712,329. In the test, when you're not sure whether you're correct, you can always go times this amount by 27% and 20%, remove it, and it should leave you with 1 million. That's the same with estate duty in executors' fees and estate duty on the policy you're recommending. Okay, so in terms of CGT, paragraph 55 of the 8th schedule says that the original beneficial owner, if it's the original beneficial owner, there's no CGT. So if the company is the original beneficial owner, so this policy was not ceded or there was a change in name or someone surrendered the policy to the company. Sorry, not surrendered, or someone ceded the policy to the company. So we are saying the company is the one who started the policy. They are the original beneficial owners. So if they are the original beneficial owners, there's no CGT implications. That's what you need to know in terms of the slide. And then preferred compensation. So preferred compensation is an incentive that we give employees. If we can't necessarily take out a key person insurance policy to protect the company, and we decide that, okay, instead of us securing us against the loss, let's look at what we have now. Let's offer our employee a preferred compensation. What they do in essence is that it kind of increases your salary to retain your services within the company. So if I'm asking you, I say, Jabulani is a key employee of our company and we want to retain his services in our company. And I say, true or false? So I'm going to repeat. It's a true or false question. Say Jabulani is a key employee to our company and we want to retain his services in our company. we have decided, because we want to retain his services in our company, we are going to take out a key person insurance policy. True or false? That makes sense.
True.
Who's saying true? Who's saying false? Okay, again, who's saying true and who's saying false? I'll repeat the question. Okay, we have Jabulani, who's a key employee at our company. We want to retain his services in our company. And in order to retain our key services in our company, we're going to take out a key person insurance policy on his life. Does that make sense? True or false? People on true? People on false? Okay, guys, please raise your hands confidently because I can't see. People on true? Okay, people on false? Okay, majority is saying false. False is correct. Key person insurance policy is protecting the company against loss on death, disablement, or severe illness. If we want to retain someone's services, we'd go the preferred compensation route, which entails an increase in the employee's salary. And in practice, they do so via an endowment policy. So preferred compensation to retain services of the employee. Key person insurance policy to protect the company against a loss in terms of death, disablement, or severe illness of that key employee. Students, some of you are also on your phones. I know some of you don't like how I present, but there are things that I say that are important. So if you are on your phone, I can see you. The way this lecture halls are designed is in a way that we can see each and every one of you. It is a bit disrespectful if you're going to be on your phone while in class and I'm presenting. I get emergencies where you have to text, speak to someone, that's nice. But if you're on your phone repeatedly, it says a lot about you. And to be honest, there are some of you that are on your phones, and when you come collect your script, it kind of shows that you don't focus in class, because I can see that the marks you get are not what you'd ideally want. Because some of you do share that. You say, no, ma'am, I'm not happy about this mark. I know I can do better. So please, it doesn't matter if you don't like how I present. There are things that I say that are key. So please listen to what I say. And please stay away from your phones. Okay, so this just explains what preferred compensation is. And then in terms of the tax implications, we need to look at it in terms of the employer and the employee. So this is also, again, just reading through. So please read through it. And then there's also an example. Please also read through it. It's not that I don't think it's important. It is important. You could be tested on MCQs or true and false. But in the essence of time, let's focus on what's really, really important. So buy and sell agreements. Do buy and sell agreements sound familiar?
Yes.
Yes, because we discussed them in estate duty. We talked about the implications in terms of the arrangement or how it works. So again, I'll just re-emphasize what I've said before. A buy and sell agreement is an arrangement. It's an arrangement that comes with two parts. It comes with a contract and life insurance policy. The reason why I said or is because there are other options, but for the sake of your study, a buy and sell agreement is an arrangement that comes with two parts. A buy and sell contract that's usually executed with the lawyers, and then an insurance policy in respect of that contract. Buy and sell in essence is saying, should I die and I own a company, we don't want a situation where I die, now my kids or my relatives now take over my portion of the company. It won't make sense. They won't have the expertise or the knowledge in order to execute the normal running of the business. So in essence, we take out a buy and sell policy. Buy and sell so that when I die, whatever I have, I'm obligated to sell to the surviving partners. The surviving partners are obligated to buy because of that arrangement or that contract that makes it concrete. So they are obligated to buy and I'm obligated to sell in respect of my estate. And then they will continue the ownership of the business. That's what a buy and sell is in essence. So two parts, it has the contract and the life insurance portion. Reason being, buy and sells are common in practice with life insurance is because if you do not use life insurance to pay for the buy and sell, what tends to happen is the company needs to tap into their reserves. Sometimes when they're tapping into their reserves to pay off that deceased partner, it affects the company's finances. So because they don't want to do that, they want money that is readily available, like life insurance, they opt for life insurance in terms of buy and sell arrangements. Okay, so that's exactly what I was just saying. So then buy and sell agreements in terms of this section of the Estate Duty Act, very important section, excludes the buy and sell life insurance policy from being deemed property provided the following conditions are met. Firstly, the policy was taken out by a person who at the time is a partner or member or shareholder of the business. The purpose was for surviving partners to acquire the deceased share, and no premiums on the policy was paid by the deceased. In essence, the other partners own the policy. Because they own the policy, they pay the premiums. So buy and sell, we're looking at the people. We did company-owned policies, now we're looking at the actual people, the partners, the members, the shareholders of the business. Okay, so but remember, the value of the shareholding or interest forms part of the estate, therefore avoiding double taxation. What this means is that, again, quick example, me and Mr. Ashley, we own a company. We own, let's put a third person. Me, Mr. Ashley, and Ms. Affairs, who's the property lecturer. We all three of us own a company. We each own, I own 30%, Mr. Ashley owns 40%, and Ms. Affairs owns the remaining 30%. So me 30, Ashley 40, and Ms. Affairs the remaining 30. So we own a company. And we are saying that when I die, and the company is valued at 1 million rand. When I die, if I have that buy and sell arrangement with Ashley and Affairs, for the purpose of the example, I'm just going to use their first names, with Ashley and Affairs, what happens is when I die, they are obligated to buy my portion, and I'm obligated to sell my portion to them. But when they are buying my portion, what are they giving me? Money. Money that gets included where? Estate, yes. So they are giving money that will be included in terms of estate. So in terms of my ownership of the company, right? My ownership, so that 30% of 1,300,000 rand. When I'm doing my estate duty calculation in property, I'm going to say Mary Ann's interest at ABC Limited, which is 300,000. Under deemed property, I'm going to include the policy if it's not exempt. Sorry guys, let me just quickly do this one. So the reason why the section is in existence is to avoid double taxation, in the sense that I'm not going to include my shares at the company at 300,000 rand and then include it again in deemed property as the life insurance policy under the buy and sell agreement at 300,000. Reason being, in effect, I'm being taxed on estate duty on 600,000 rand. So hence, the policy requirement is that it will be exempt from estate duty. Do you understand that? Okay, let me try and repeat it. So we're trying to avoid double taxation in terms of estate duty. When I die, I include all the property that I own because I'm a South African resident. Whether it's here in South Africa or overseas, I include all the property. Part of my property is part of that business that I own with Ashley and Affairs. So I own 30% of the 1 million rand business. That 300,000 rand will be included as part of property because I owned it during my lifetime. But I had a life insurance policy attached to a buy and sell arrangement. So that life insurance policy will not be part of deemed property because of the double taxation. You don't want to tax me at 600,000 rand when I die. You only want to tax me on the 300,000 rand of what I had owned at that business. So that's why the buy and sell arrangement will be exempt from my estate. Do you all understand that? Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, Okay, this side, you guys are very active, but what about this side? I'm just in essence explaining what this slide says about avoiding double taxation. Because remember, when someone dies, you include all their property. So that would include the share in the business and unredeemed property, the life insurance in their name. Because that life insurance is in my name. So you'd exempt it. So I'm not taxed on 600,000, I'm only taxed on 300. I'll try to go through more examples during your revision class and your tutorials. I'll make sure the tutors really go through it. And then CGT will be exempt if the owner was the original beneficial owner. The rest of this you can just read through. So now, okay guys, I'm not going to test you on this one. I'm just going to test you on CGT will be exempt if the owner was the original beneficial owner. So that's in terms of CGT and buy and sell agreements, it will be exempt if the owner was the original beneficial owner. For those of you who said it's a lot of content here, just hinted. The slide, only first line is important. It's only the first line will be tested. That's what I mean. Okay, so in the terms of structuring of a buy and sell agreement, there are two types. We have multiple lives and lives of another basis. So let's go through it. So if there's one owner of the policy and there's multiple lives insured, it does not have to be one policy, it can be multiple policies. But we're saying one owner and multiple lives insured. The policy value will be equal to own shareholding percentage divided by 100 minus deceased shareholdings percentage multiplied by deceased shareholding value. This is for multiple lives. For life of another basis, we have multiple owners and one life insured. So the policy value is equal to own shareholding percentage divided by own plus other alive shareholding times deceased shareholdings value. Now we're going to do an example to make what we just said more real. So consider a company worth 4 million. We have A who owns 45%, that gives us 1,800,000 Rand. B who owns 30%, that gives us 1,200,000 Rand. And C who owns 25%, that's 1 million Rand. If we add those amounts, the 1 million, 1.2, 1.8 gives us 4 million. If we add the percentages, it gives us 100%. So we're just showing you how much each person owns relative to their percentage and the value of the business, which is 4 million. The principle is that should one of the shareholders die, the remaining two must own the company in same proportion as they currently do. So we're saying, if one shareholder dies, the surviving partners should own the business in a similar proportion as they owned while the other person was still alive. So looking at A and B, they together own 75% of the company. So A owns 45 out of 75, B owns 30 of 75. So in essence, A owns 60% and B owns 40% of their portion together. Do you understand that? Okay, next one. Looking at A and C, together they own 70% of the company. Of the 70%, A owns 45 of 70, C owns 25 of 70. So in essence, A owns 64% and C owns 36%. The last scenario, we're looking at B and C. They own 55% of the company. So of the 55%, B owns 30 over 55 and C owns 25 over 55. That gives us 55% for B and 45% for C. When we are applying that same scenario to the life of another basis, so this calculation that we decided here, just quickly write this down for the purposes of this example. We're saying the policy value is equal to own shareholding divided by own plus other alive shareholding multiplied by deceased shareholding value. Even if you lost, just write it down so that you'll understand as we go forward. So multiple owners and one life insured. This is life of another basis. Okay, have you all written it down? Okay, let's go to the example. Do you all have it written down? Again, I said if you lost, just write it down. Okay, so in this example, we're assuming a company is worth 4 million and A, B, and C own those portions. So if we're looking at life of another, we are saying multiple owners with one life assured. So on A's life, B and C will take out a policy equal to 1.8 million. So on A's life, A's portion of the business is 1.8 million. The other partners are taking up the policy on his life. So if they are trying to take it on his life, they want to ensure the value that he has in the business, which is 1.8 million. So in proportion of ownership of that, and the premium is 500 rand on this policy. So B and C take out a policy equal to 1.8 million and the premium is 500 rand per month. So who owns the policy valued at 1.8 million? It's B and C. So who pays the premium? That 500 rand? B and C. Do we agree that they don't own it fully? They'll own it in proportion, right? They'll own proportion of the policy value and the premium because they are the ones who pay the premiums. Remember that big requirement of buy and sell? The deceased must not pay the premium on their life. Someone else pays it on their life. So very important. So in terms of the percentages, if we are doing life of another, what did we say the calculation is? We look at C's percentage divided by C plus B's percentage multiplied by A's value. Can someone do the calculation?
A's value is in proportion to percentage or proportion to the amount?
It's the amount. In terms of the calculation, A's value is an amount.
Not the percentage itself. Because if you have the percentage of the premiums, like, is it going to be like the amount? If you use the portion of the amount. Like
We're going to do the premium of the policy. Yes. So we're going to do what C owns of the policy, B owns of the policy, C pays of the policy, and A pays of the policy. So what's the amount we're getting for C? So how much does C own of that policy on A's life? Sorry? Did you get the same thing? Okay, let's hear somewhere there. How much does C own? Should I pick someone? I'm going to pick someone at the back. Those last two rows, can someone please give me an answer? So how much does C own? Everything you need is on the slide. How much does C own in respect of the policy on A's life? How much? A's value is 1.8 million. If that's what you asked. Anyone? Do you have the answer? Yes. What is it? Okay, wait. Let's start there. What's the answer?